been a while since I made a video, and basically I've been busy. As a side note, I finally figured out how to comfortably, on my part, do video chats. So if any of you want to do a one-on-one video chat, I'm more than happy to do that as time permits. Just let me know if that's something you want to get involved with. What I wanted to talk to you today about is the parasitic nature that we live in this reality between good and evil, and how that relates to us personally, as well as how to compare it as to what it really is. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is enlightenment and how that relates to you personally, and how it relates to me personally, and our symbiotic relationship that transpires there. And then after that, and that will be fairly short, and then after that, if I think of anything on the fly, I'll just add it. But that's what I wanted to talk about today. So in regards to parasites, you know what a parasite is. And I think it's best to define a parasite, in my opinion, as a entity, a living organism, whatever you want to call it, that without permission takes its sustenance from the host. And eventually, the parasite will actually kill the host, and then in most cases, both of them die. That's fairly accurate to what we exist in this reality. That's a pretty good, accurate description. But let's tweak that a little bit so that it makes sense to you. For instance, everything in this reality is an illusory existing scenario to teach you and I as to what is really going on. Because in reality, if you think about it from an enlightened point of view, since this reality is an illusion and it doesn't really exist, then what importance is our life in this reality? And like a video game, you'd have to say of no importance. But if you're playing a video game, you can say, well, what's the importance of playing a video game? I suppose there could be some eye-hand coordination skills with operating the device, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not the point. The point is that with your interaction with a video game, there's absolutely no consequence, essentially, between the players in the video game and yourself that's actually playing the video game. But that's not true in this reality, in that what you do in this illusory reality has great effects upon your eternal soul. And in this reality, again, from an enlightened point of view, we could say that this reality, there's no consequences because it's an illusion. And of course, a lot of gurus teach that sort of scenario, especially in non-duality, which is absolutely and utterly false. That in itself is a parasitic teaching that is designed from an ignorant source to destroy your heart and soul. That there are no consequences to the choices you make in this illusory realm reality. And when I say choices, again, dividing myself from the ignorant fools that teach non-duality, you do have free will that is not tethered to the Creator, God, and that you, of your own essence, chooses based upon free will. And this free will was not granted to you from some master deity or what they would refer to as the absolute, or Brahman or Brahma or Vishnu or Shiva or any other deities or sources of creators. Your free will emanates from the core of your essence and not from any other source. Granted, you cannot have free will without something to choose. And so the Creator creates opportunities for you to choose from, as well as Shiva or Satan creates opportunities for you to choose. But in this illusory realm that we exist, all of these free will choices are designed in such a way that it creates growth or destruction on your eternal soul or your eternal essence. And that's one of the major reasons for this illusory realm being created in the first place. But getting back to the parasite scenario, and how if you study ancient Hinduism about Shiva, you will discover that they refer to Shiva as the destroyer. So in a way, you could look at it and say Shiva is the parasite that you can relate to in this illusory realm that God has created. And created parasites to teach us the nature of Shiva, to teach us the nature of what a parasite does, which means a parasite takes without permission. And that's exactly what Shiva does. And in the end destroys everything, as recorded in ancient Hinduism. But the way it is taught in this reality realm, it's taught as if it's a good thing. And the people that believe in non-duality are lulled into this false notion that there's something good about annihilation and destruction. And of course, that's the point of view of a parasite. A parasite sees good in what it does. The host, meaning Brahma or Vishnu or Jesus or Christ, or however you want to see it, Christ or Jesus did not appreciate being hung on a cross and murdered. But the parasites performing that thought that that was a good thing. From their point of view, it was a good thing. But from the person hanging on the cross, he did not see that as a wonderful thing to look forward to. He saw it as the inevitable reaction to what he was bringing to the world, meaning love, meaning light, meaning eternal oneness with the Creator God, Brahma. But one was a parasite and one was a host. Jesus was a host and Satan was the parasite. And in Hindu theology, it would be Vishnu is the host and Shiva is the parasite, the destroyer. And there's no point in being angry about these things or being upset or anything, because that in itself is a reaction to the truth. In other words, if people that believe in non-duality or worship Shiva listen to a message like mine and get upset, that's because they are essentially worshiping the parasite, and the host is fighting back, or by fighting back, shedding light or telling the truth. And of course, the parasite is not going to like that. And this is why you, if anyone out there that watches this video worships the concept of Shiva, this is why they are upset. It's because they're witnessing this video from the perspective of a parasite. I'm not calling them parasites. They themselves are essentially hosts being affected by the main parasite, which is Shiva. And they don't realize it, of course, because they are ignorant. And of course, the concept of ignorance, again, is not a bad or evil thing. It just means lacking truth. But you could see it as a negative thing by saying, oh, you're an ignorant. An ignorant what? Ignorant just simply means you haven't learned the truth yet, or you haven't learned the truth, period. It isn't a bad thing, it's just simply the truth. And so that's the concept of a parasite and how that relates. Again, getting back to my original story, is everything in this reality is created as a way of teaching you and me and everyone else as to what the true reality is and the true reality for this existence here. Forgive me for looking at my iPad, but so this goes in conjunction with what I was just saying. An enlightened person, their main purpose for being enlightened is not for self-gratification. It is not for self-aggrandizement. It is not to bring joy to the individual that's enlightened. It is not given to that individual as a way to exercise power and authority over others. It is not a blessing given to a person so that they can bask in the sunlight of joy or bliss or any of these things that it is assumed that is a derivative of spiritual enlightenment. None of these things are true. Enlightenment is given to individuals. And when I say given, you cannot be a parasite and get enlightenment. You can't get it because you work real hard, or that you strive endlessly, or because you think that you can learn it by reading or studying or going to gurus or whatever the source that you think you're going to get this from. You can't get it because it is in fact given. And if you get it, recognize that it was given to you, that you didn't actually achieve it or that you didn't actually get it. And I think that might be the main reason that people that are spiritually advanced in their understandings and their awareness and everything, it might be the number one reason why they are not given enlightenment, because they do not understand the nature of it. And the nature of it is exactly what I'm doing right here, right now. And that is, I am trying my best to teach, to convey the message of what this reality is all about, to help anyone and everyone that will listen to understand the nature of this particular reality. I'm not necessarily trying to teach you to become enlightened. What I'm trying to do is help you to understand the true nature of everything, because everything that comes to you is corrupted by the parasite, Satan, or Shiva, depending on what you believe the true name of the main parasite is. When I say main, there's an endless number. Well, I shouldn't say endless. There are probably well over half the population of this planet are truly parasites, meaning they were born into their life from birth as reincarnated essences that have already sworn an oath to worship Shiva, Satan, and not only sworn to worship this individual, but have essentially been advanced to the nature of an actual demon. And I don't know, I'm not as familiar with the Eastern philosophy teachings of the true name of what they call demons, but I would recognize it like that if I heard it. The reason I don't use, and this is a tangent right here, the reason I don't use official teaching names and places and all of these things, there is something different with the way my brain works. I grew up with dyslexia, which is something that was extremely difficult on my part to overcome to the best of my ability. But in addition to that, there are probably other issues, but they are not disabilities. It is just simply different than the common people. So my brain doesn't recognize words, meaning the spelling of words or what they look like, or so I don't memorize certain terms and everything. What happens to me is you can read about something, but it is all converted to three-dimensional pictographic things in my mind. And so it's difficult to go backwards from the actual pictographic video, if you will, that's in my brain and convert it back to proper names and words and stuff like that. So I have a difficult time expressing in words to you what I see in my mind, if that makes sense to you. So I see it that if you want enlightenment, recognize that it's like saying Do you want to spend several years working in college and getting your master's degree in teaching to be a school teacher, college teacher, or whatever? And then when you're all done with that knowledge and you practice it, and let's say you're very good at teaching, and then you decide, I don't want to be a teacher anymore. What I actually want to do is dig ditches, or I want to be a carpenter, and I don't want to teach anybody about carpentry. Or whatever, be a bricklayer, and I don't want to teach anyone about bricklaying, or any number of things. That is kind of what it's like. And so God is not going to accidentally give you enlightenment so that you can waste your time and other people's time with your lack of enthusiasm for actually teaching. And so it is a responsibility. It is incumbent upon anyone that becomes enlightened to not stop, but that's like opening the door to an infinite awareness of truth, of everything. And it's not instantaneous because we are human beings. And as a human being in this illusory realm, we, meaning anyone that's enlightened, has to continue the process of discovering truth just like anyone else, with the caveat that an enlightened individual that loves God has, in Christian theology, they call it the gift of the Holy Ghost. In Hindu theology, I'm not exactly what they would refer to that to. But what that essentially means is you are tethered in such a way 24 hours a day to God, to Brahma, to also Vishnu, meaning Christ, Jesus, or any number of angels, if you will, if there's such a thing, or whatever. Whatever the source is, it is always going back to the source of all truth, meaning Brahma, God, the God that Jesus prayed to. I know I say that every time as if you don't know what I'm talking about, but I just want to make it crystal clear when I say Brahma, it is the God that Jesus prayed to. And that's why I always say it that way. But it's incumbent upon anyone that becomes enlightened to try as best they can throughout their entire life to teach the truth, because they are tethered to God to receive the truth. So, in other words, if you are confronted with something, be it a spiritual concept or whatever the question might be, you are privy to, it's like hot and cold. There's no indecision about hot and cold. A person can grab something for 2 seconds and it's ice cold, and this one is hotter than hell, and there's no indecision. Quickly they know, oh, that's hot, oh, that's cold. And this is the same way about truth, for instance. So from a normal person's perspective, they might know the truth, but what is the truth based upon? It's based upon what they have learned from the day they were born until now, and they go, well, based upon everything I know, I would say that that's either true or not true. That's how a normal human being discovers what the truth is. Now, on the next step up, some human beings have what is referred to as intuition. And so that is similar to what we would refer to as the gift of the Holy Ghost, except that that's not entirely true, because intuition is a unbroken, tethered link back to your spiritual soul that is privy to way more truth and information than your physical human body has. And so those with intuition have the ability to connect with their spiritual soul that has considerably more truth. But still, that's not the same thing as being linked right back to God. And so, again, it is incumbent upon any enlightened individual to discover what questions come their way, or on their own they do studies and trying to figure out what reality is. And that is actually part of the responsibility of becoming enlightened, is to never cease discovering what the truth is while in the physical body. Always, always, always trying to figure out what is the meaning of that. That's one of the reasons why I understand the nature of money in this world and how to fix the problem that the entire world is faced with on money. Because you need to seek the truth of all things that you are inspired, basically. Not that I can help anyone in the world to solve the problem of money. Of course, I could if anyone in power and authority were to listen, but that is just not very realistic to think, because people in power are typically the parasites. They are typically the demons. And of course, they have no desire to make things better on this planet. They are parasites. They enjoy killing and destroying things. When I say not all of them, but the ones that are good people in their heart and soul, that are in positions of power, they actually could benefit, but because of the way the system is designed, they will never listen to the people that know what the truth is. That's just the way it's designed. They could, of course, listen if they wanted to, but they don't. They pretend. When I say pretend, they become overwhelmed with busy work. And you know how meditation is, for instance. In other words, if you're busy all the time, and you never have time to meditate, you never have time to, well, you know the benefits of meditation. It just helps you just, golly, I don't even know what the words are to use, but to feel reality. And if you're busy all the time and you don't have time to do that, you think you're accomplishing a whole lot of things by being busy, but in fact you're like the dog chasing its tail, running in circles, and you think I'll just, as the dog thinks, well, I'll just run faster chasing my tail. And that's how I will benefit mankind. And of course, they have to stop running and chasing their tail and listen if they want to help anyone. But they don't, and that's just the way it is. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today. I was having some interesting conversations with a few other people on things that are not necessarily spiritual, meaning traveling at the speed of light and this and that, and how it pertains to reality and stuff like that. But even that can be understood from a spiritual perspective, because in this reality that we exist, this illusory realm, there are rules for the game to exist. And those rules, one of the rules are that when you figure out the rule changes. For instance, science can say, well, this is what reality is because we figured it out based upon this and this and this and this and this. And then upon further study, they discover, oh, wait, there's more to it than what we thought. That's one of the rules of this illusory realm. It is absurd to think that without the assistance of God that you're actually going to figure anything out. It is just an endless, and I won't even say loop, it is an endless tangent of literally everything. But there are rules, and those rules make it easy to understand the speed of light and how it relates to you and how it relates to everything. And I've said this before. I don't even know why this is coming into my mind right now, but I've said it before. Oh, I know, because they keep talking about UAPs. They keep talking about alien spacecraft, and as if we're being visited by aliens from another planet or solar system or whatever the case may be. And I want you to know that according to the rules of this universe, that is prohibitive. Not prohibited, but prohibitive. And the reason I say that is there's no way to escape the concept of distance. And Einstein's theory of relativity, people seem to forget to add the rule relativity to the equation. And so everything is relative to you as a human being sitting on planet Earth, traveling at whatever speed we're traveling through the universe. The speed of light is relative to that. But as soon as you transcend this planet Earth to either go faster or slower, time changes because it's all about distance. You know how they say a kalpa of time? Well, a kalpa, when the kalpa of time is over, well, then that's the end of your existence in this dispensation of creation. And you could also convert a kalpa, instead of time, it would just as easily be said distance. The geographical, if you will, distance covered is also the same thing as a kalpa of time. But it's all relative to where you are. So in other words, an individual can be in the universe traveling at whatever speed, and a kalpa of time for them could be 100 trillion years, whereas a kalpa of time for another individual on another planet in another place in the universe, instead of 100 trillion years, might only be 100 years. Because it's the distance traveled that is relative to the time taken. And light is another thing that is misunderstood totally, because they say, well, the speed of light. But again, the speed of light is only relative to you sitting on planet Earth. You can say it's 300,000, 300,000 kilometers a second or whatever it is like that. But that's only relative to you while you're on planet Earth. If you are somewhere else traveling at a different speed, covering a different distance, the speed of light is actually different. And so why is it somewhat prohibitive for people from another planet somewhere else to visit us? The reason it's prohibitive is because the distance traveled between point A and point B is converted to time. Because the speed of light is infinitely fast if you are actually at the speed of light. So consequently, what that means is if a planet with people on it was 10,000 light years away, light years according to our years here on this planet, and they traveled from their home to our home at the speed of light, then they would get from where they are to where we are in no time, not even a picosecond. They would be here and they would visit us. And they would go, oh, wow, okay, well, the people here are really messed up or this or that. Who cares what they think? And they can hang out for a year if they want. And they go, okay, I think we've learned everything we can learn from the people here on planet Earth. And now we can go back to our home planet that is 10,000 light years away. And they get in their spaceship or whatever. And maybe it's even a transporter. Who knows? Maybe it's not even a ship. And they zap back to their planet. But the problem is when they get back home, 20,000 years has passed on their planet. And so it's like, well, where's my children and everything? Well, that was 20,000 years ago. Well, and you think of a distance of 10,000 light years in comparison to what the universe they can see with these telescopes and everything. That's just a very short distance. So when you add millions of light years or billions of light years away, the same thing is true. You can travel 1 billion light years in 0 time. But when you get back to your home planet, 2 billion years has passed. So it is prohibitive because if you go visit somewhere else, you yourself will experience no time passing in any direction you go or any place you go. But the source where you started from is relative now. And it's not like they have experienced anything different than you. It's just the two of you cannot coexist in the same time loop, if you will. And so when you go back, I mean, if that makes sense to you, that would explain why no one would dare go anywhere else. It would be ludicrous. It would be stupid. If that makes sense to you. Because it's a one-way trip. If you come, there's no point in going back. I mean, you can go back, but then again, why would you go back and then go, oh, wait, my planet is destroyed by the sun. I think I need to go back. Well, of course you can do that, but now 40,000 years has passed here, and maybe in 40,000 years the sun is blown up and destroyed this planet too. So it's absolutely absurd to crisscross the universe. It accomplishes nothing. You might as well make your home where you're living your home and quit trying to go somewhere else. It's just stupid. I mean, you can, but it's a one-way trip, if that makes sense. That's one of the rules of this universe that can't be escaped. Anyways, so with that rant, I think I'm done. Again, I want you to know I love you. I want you to know I pray for you. I want you to know that even though I seem somewhat stoic and everything, I am quite excited about life. I enjoy so much life. I enjoy so much learning new truth on a daily basis. I enjoy so much interacting with you. I enjoy so much helping you to understand spirituality a little better than you did yesterday. I enjoy so much the thought that in the eternal scheme of things, you and I are eternal friends. And that even though it is pretty much literally impossible for one human being, I mean, even a man and wife that are absolutely in love with each other and communicate as perfectly can be, that is extremely, woefully, inadequately as compared to what can exist when you're not encapsulated with a physical human body, if that makes sense. And so yourselves included in that scenario, I can project and see beyond this physical reality that you and I are going to be incredibly good friends for all eternity. I help you, you help me. It's teamwork, actually, is what it is. So, and I love you for that. I absolutely am eternally grateful for your friendship. So with that, I'm going to close and say I love you very much. And hopefully I can make videos more often and not be so damn busy all the time. Anyways, talk to you guys later. Bye.